Yeah, yeah. Sure.
Can you hear me?
I hear you fine.
Likewise. Boom.
All right, hang on. Every time I try to make you co-host, somebody else pops up. There we go. Okay. All right, there we go. How was your day?
How hot.
Hot?
Yeah, that I transplanted a little too late and it kicked my butt.
You got to get it before 10 o'clock or after 5, I think.
You do.
Or I think it gets hotter around 5 o'clock here, actually.
It does. Yeah, it's definitely before 10. It wiped me out. But at least I got weeding on the left side of the garden done, and I got the 2 tomato plants transplanted and the squash transplanted.
All right. How
So
about the
that's a start.
blueberries? How they or did the rabbits get those?
It might be the squirrels too. No, the blueberries are still good. But I brought the 2 other tomato plants up onto the porch because they're containers, container types.
Hmm.
So, and I think I'll do all the blueberries with the pumpkin that can be 30 to 100 pounds.
All right.
Um,
I told you we've done them before. They climb up the fence.
right.
They bloom on the top of the fence.
Yeah, I'll work on that. I got to get some nails and get some stakes and some for the tomato plants, and I'll attach them to the fence, and we should be good to go. I'll admit. There's Dr. Nario.
Uh, Bob, is this your screen that we're looking at? You're muted. Is this your screen here with all this stuff flashing?
Probably
Okay, 'cause
that, or it's AI is taking over. Hey,
this is
Dr. Nario.
this is yours, right, Bob?
Hey
Yeah,
Joe, what's up?
that's you. Yeah, okay, got it.
There it is. Yep. Boom. Okay.
Okay.
So we're talking about the soccer ball, huh?
It looks that way.
It's World Cup,
Hmm.
just in time.
Hmm.
You know what's fun is the videos about everybody from Europe coming over here and finally getting to taste our food, and they're just like, boom. They're like, no wonder you're all so fat. Oh my God, this is awesome.
That's a compliment, right?
I know it's sad. It sucks. Don't get me started. Shoot, it's man. If they only knew. Stay here a couple months and see what happens when you start getting your migraines and your headaches and your depression, your anxiety, and all of a sudden you're pre-diabetic and you're like, okay.
They don't. They don't.
Hey,
They don't. They
maybe
don't have that. They don't have that here. There. They don't have.
Very rare. Shoot,
They don't have headaches in Europe.
just the government.
Doctor Nario, you've been there. Nobody had a
yeah.
headache.
No, I like the food over there. That's why we can't really say we got the same stuff that they have. For sure, they're gonna object with that statement.
Right.
So I don't think so. But we welcome them in the most American way we can. That's probably
Amen.
the best way to do it.
Yes, we do.
Western diet. That's how we welcome peeps.
Chick-fil-A, that's big. Texas, everything's big in Texas and the ribs, so they're all just devouring Texas. Philly was in there and the cheesesteaks. Yeah, it's pretty neat. The Japanese, uh, they were like they were devouring food too. That was neat to watch.
That's how we beat them.
You
So
make fun of Philly's cheesesteaks?
Yeah.
I grew up with that stuff,
Yep.
Nobody ever talks about the soft pretzels from there either. So those are to die for.
Oh, yeah, right.
we fatten them up, and we beat them that way.
That's right. Yes, we do.
So, all right.
Oh, there we go.
We have a good topic today. I really like this one. In A4M, there's a lot of C60 mentions, so this is definitely something to keep your eye on, everyone.
Oh, I believe it. Especially with what's going on and what we were just talking about.
So,
Dr. Bill, did the IFM got back to you?
yes, I actually spoke to them today. I was going to talk to you all about it. So,
Nice.
so I talked to they actually have a department of affiliation, believe it or not. They have
Hmm.
about 60 groups that they affiliate with. But none of them do what we do, apparently.
Like
So
what?
like running these webinars every week.
Ah,
And I showed our website, with all our and the YouTube videos. We have over 300 videos on the website.
hmm.
So, and I'm a little bit behind. I think the last couple of weeks I haven't gotten it on there. So I'll catch up. But so they were not quite knowing. Usually, what they do is they if they're making an affiliation with you, then they'll coordinate conferences if you need it, or get your speakers, those kinds of things.
Hmm.
But she said, what they said to us, I was talking, there's two gals there, and they said, you guys are doing it the opposite way. You're going to bring us the speakers. I said, well, that's what I've been doing. We'd just like to, have access to your, clientele so that we can spread our word.
Right.
Maybe figure out a way maybe to make a couple of bucks here too. That would be nice after 6 years. So,
What do you think?
so, I mean, the way we left it is they're going to go back to their committee to show them what we what we are doing and what we have to offer. So I'm hopeful. They were pretty interested in it. They went over to the website and to the YouTube channel and looked at some of the some of who our speakers were and what the topics were. And I mean, every week's not a winner, but we have a lot of good content on there.
Yes.
We got to find some ambitious volunteer to go through them all and sort of curate the medical information, so we could actually we have enough information here to make our own sort of curriculum, So by now,
Our own cult.
huh? Oh,
Our
yeah.
own cult.
I'll volunteer.
We got
Battle.
right. So, and then was it last week we had Dr. Tano on? Was that?
Yeah, last
Right.
week.
All right. So I signed up for his. I don't know who else did, but I signed up for his.
Tire Pro.
Yeah, for Taya Pro, and I was able to write a Hashimoto's thyroiditis book in 5 minutes with one prompt. So, and it came out to be 307 pages.
It's the Amazon's bestseller.
I have to edit it, but so
So it's working?
what's that?
It is working?
It worked fine. Yeah. Hmm.
Good, excellent.
Yeah, it worked great. And I mean, you can get what you have there in pieces all over, but to have everything that you have on there in one spot saves a lot of time.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go buying all these programs here, and I mean I've just sort of scratched the surface of it. I mean it could take I know you have the. I haven't had time to sit down and watch the 4-hour video on how to work it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's really unbelievable. And he's not paying me for this, by the way. In fact, I'm paying him. So I want you to know that.
Yeah.
This
He
was
gets free advertising.
this
The
Right.
best part
this
about
was
this.
unsolicited. And
Thank
Bob,
you.
when you come on, I accidentally muted you. Sorry. So okay. Yeah, so that's my editorial, my little announcement. IFM is actually they are interested in what we're doing, so we'll see where that takes us. I'm hopeful. Apparently my lecture was well received by the hierarchy there. I've had a number of people send me emails and including some of the powers that be there. So hopefully that went well. And next, Dr. Nario,
All right.
what do you got for us this week?
Oh, is that my cue? Or you're asking
Yeah, we get the smart guys talking now. So
okay, so let's do the leak of the week today. Okay, so again, good evening, everyone. Thank you again for being here. And I'm going to touch on a topic here that I think everybody's almost doing. So we always hear about PRP.
I don't know if your camera's off, Dr. Nario. I don't know if you
Oh, is it?
you're in the dark. So
Oh, I don't know what's
there you
going
go.
on.
There you go.
Is that better?
That's better. There you go. We get to see your smiling face here.
All right. And my spiky hair.
And you
So the things that we do in our regenerative practices, we hear about our BPCs, right? TV500s, GHK coppers, PRP, PRFs. So this all are used in our practices to accelerate healing and, of course, stimulate collagen formation. However, what we sometimes forget is that these therapies primarily provide signals only. They tell the body to repair. They do not necessarily provide the raw materials needed to execute that repair. That's why I often tell patients who are using these modalities, so they're like construction foremen. So they can give excellent instructions, but if there are no bricks, lumber, or cement at the job site, progress is going to be slow. So I'd like to briefly review the nutritional cofactors that may determine whether regenerative therapies will work or will not work, or will they work exceptionally. So number one on my list is our favorite vitamin C. Vitamin C is a required cofactor for prolyl and lysyl hydroxylase, so enzymes responsible for stabilizing the triple collagen helix. It's like a DNA structure. So without adequate vitamin C, collagen becomes structurally weak and wound healing suffers. So multiple systemic reviews and clinical studies demonstrated that supplementation of just 500 to 1,000 milligrams daily, so that's very minimal with the protocols that we know, and these range improves wound healing, collagen deposition, and tissue recovery in surgical patients and even chronic wound populations. If your GHKs and BPCs are telling fibroblasts to make collagen, vitamin C helps ensure that collagen is actually built correctly. The next one would be collagen peptides. Multiple randomized RCTs and meta-analysis uses 10 to 15 grams daily, so these are more the bovine ones, and have demonstrated improvements in skin elasticity, skin hydration, joint symptoms, and even connective tissue recovery. Well, collagen peptides provide glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline, so directly to fibroblasts. So think of collagen peptides as delivering pre-cut lumber directly to the construction site. And as expected, outcomes appear strongest. So this is a clinical tip. Combine your vitamin C with collagen, and vice versa. Always use this both together whenever you're trying to achieve repair. Another one is zinc. So zinc is frequently overlooked, yet the zinc is required for DNA synthesis, protein production, fibroblast proliferation, and even matrix remodeling. Clinical wound healing studies, so particularly in pressure ulcer patients, consistently, again, show improved healing rates when zinc is included in comprehensive repair formulas. The typical dose, which is always what we've been using in COVID times, 15 to 30 milligrams elemental zinc daily. And no zinc, no construction crew. And I just recently found out also that you have to take this with food. That's a better way to absorb this. Then magnesium participates in over 300 enzymatic reactions, we all know, including energy production and tissue repair. Although, yeah, it doesn't receive the same attention as our vitamin C's and collagens, but adequate magnesium supports cellular, energy generation during these moments of repair and may help reduce inflammatory burden during recovery. I routinely view magnesium glycinate as, again, my foundational support, which is my favorite, in most regenerative protocols. And then last one would be amino acids. Finally, it will be glycine and proline, which are major structural components of collagen. And to add to that, like bonus ones would be arginine and glutamine, also have demonstrated benefits in wound healing. So one particular thing of interest here is RCT found that amino acid formula containing arginine, glutamine, and HMB significantly increases collagen deposition in early subjects. So while we're excited about peptides, we should not forget that collagen is ultimately made from amino acids. So key point here is the peptides, right? The Wolverine stacks, the glow stacks, PRP, PRFs may provide the signal. So they just provide signals here, but the supplements that I just mentioned provide the substrate. So if sometimes the reason a protocol underperforms isn't because we need another peptide or another PRP, PRF. It's because we've forgotten to feed the construction workers and they all work together. So if you have a protocol, add this in there, or even by just having these specific supplements, you definitely will have good results in terms of repair of tissues and even injuries. So that's our Lake of the Week.
All right. Thank you. How you
All right.
doing? Are you passing? So those of you who don't know,
I'm not passing.
Dr. Nario is taking the integrative medicine fellowship at the Andrew Weil at the University of Arizona. So we want to make sure that he passes here because he's sort of representing all of us, and you know.
I wish I was a good representative, but
I got to relive the glory days when I was talking to the IFM representatives today about why we're no longer a CME certified subspecialty at the AOA. So,
oh, you gave him that spill?
well, they were curious about our history and how we came about. So it's a little hard to avoid it. So
That's why we're the renegade group anyway.
we are. So, but we're cute and we're lovable too, right?
There you go. That's
And
the
we're
win.
smart. So, okay, everybody. Well, thank you for coming tonight. Tonight we have Bob Greska. Did I say that right? Did I get it right?
You got
Did I get it right?
yes.
Okay. I lived in Northeast Pennsylvania for 30 years, so I'm pretty fluent in Eastern European dialects. So, um, so Bob received his Bachelor of Science degree in mechanical engineering from Southeastern Massachusetts University. In 1978, he focused the study of material science, specifically carbon, and mentored under his lifelong friend, the developer of fiber optics. Mr. Greska joined Lockheed Martin at Missile and Space in Sunnyvale, California in 1978. He was a material specialist with carbon fiber reinforced plastics for a year, and then he was appointed process engineer to oversee the fabrication of the ceramic billets. Is that how you say it? Billets?
The billets, yeah.
Used for Space Shuttle Columbia's reentry heat shield tiles. How'd that work out?
That was the most fun project I've ever worked on. Here's a shuttle tile here. This is one of the thicker ones, but I made the billets, the ceramic billet that they used to carve the tiles out of, but that was very good.
Now, I know this isn't the topic, but did you make that from scratch? I mean, where does an idea like that come from?
Well, what you do is you take like cotton candy, it's spun sugar. Well, they spin glass the same way, and they make very small, thin fibers, and then they get all the shot out of it, all the beads, and then they felt it, dry it, sinter it, and then they machine the tiles out of it. So it takes 24 Fahrenheit to sinter these things together.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And the AOA didn't want to, we were not scientific enough for them, right? We weren't good enough for them. You're gonna hear that at a Nevada Osteopathic Medical Association conference? I don't think so. Right? Uh, Space Shuttle external tanks that Mr. Greska worked at NASA to initiate test programs to establish the scale up of external tank production. Magellan Venus probe. Mr. Greska tested Magellan Venus probe's reflective coatings to study the degradation resulting from the sun's intensity, and a space backpack provided material engineering support for the fiber reinforced structural frame for the manned maneuvering unit. In 1980, Mr. Greska relocated to Littleton, Colorado, and provided materials engineering support for carbon fiber spacecraft structures at Martin Marietta Aerospace. He provided design support for Boeing 767 aircraft engine nacelles. He worked on the Venus, Magellan probe, and manned maneuvering unit. In 1990, he began a new life form and dedicated his life to the advancement of health and human performance, founding Engineering Innovations, LLC. This was a firm that designed and manufactured carbon fiber, and Kevlar structures for medical, sports, fitness, and aerospace communities. He was one of the pioneers in braiding carbon fiber. He worked on the robot arm. He developed a revolutionary carbon fiber robot arm, graphite wrap baseball bats, drumsticks, light violin bows, and other carbon products. Spring-loaded shoes. Mr. This is like a Hallmark life here. Small spring-loaded shoes. Mr. Greska pioneered the modern-day spring shoe, developing and testing prototypes at MIT. Metabolic table. He produced large honeycomb sandwich graphite epoxy forged platforms for human metabolic studies. Glass mandrels. He produced large honeycomb sandwich graphite epoxy forged platforms for human metabolic studies. Should be hyperbaric or hypobaric.
Hypobaric. It's a vacuum chamber.
Mm-hmm. A personal hypobaric high altitude simulation chamber, providing known Tour de France bicyclist competitive edge. Energy return crutches, hydrogen electrolysis. I mean, you name it. Our speaker tonight has done it. So, Bob, I'm going to let you take over from here, and we're going to hear about carbon C60 carbon, right? Carbon 60.
All right. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, we're gonna touch on carbon 60 and how it works, what are the health benefits, and how we came about it. Let me click through here. Yeah, materials engineering, NASA Aerospace, carbon fiber, innovator, health and human performance. These are some of the things. The middle slide there, it looks at that's braiding of carbon fiber. And I worked in my hometown. They made bungee cord, which uses braiding machines. So I modified them to braid carbon fiber, which is much more brittle fiber. So we did various things with that. And there's the hypobaric chamber on the right there, that high altitude chamber, which put like people like Lance Armstrong, started winning races using that. Then he started taking more synthetic EPO and kind of ruined his reputation there by doing that. But he started winning with this chamber. Same thing with Michael Phelps that won the 19 golds. This same technology was used for him to win those 19 golds. Also, Steve Fawcett, the gentleman that ballooned around the world in a hot air balloon, he circumvented the globe. He trained in one of these chambers at a very high altitude, and so he could carry less oxygen so he can make the trip feasible. And again, the space backpack. The center bottom one is electrolysis of the stainless steel plates here. That's where we did the electrolysis of water to separate it into hydrogen and oxygen. And we made, hydrogen is a very good fuel. And that was done. I did studies on that for years and studied different liquids and materials of use to make this possible, try to get the efficiency up as high as possible. And then the last slide there is the energy running shoe. That's the energy return. It has a spring. Sorry, I've got one right here. You can see the spring And this carbon fiber, it looks like a footprint, but it bends, it flexes, and it returns your energy. People like Nike knocked them off with Air Nikes, and then Z-Coil knocked them off with the Z-Coil shoe, which is carbon fiber is very expensive to put in a shoe. It was just too much. So they went other ways. But back to the buckyball, carbon 60 was discovered in 1985, and it received a Nobel Prize in 96 pretty quickly. And I made clean carbon 60 in 2012. All these other processes were solvent extraction processes. And the reason they call it carbon 60 is made up of 60 carbon atoms, which are in the sphere that pretty much look like a soccer ball, with the intersections, the trifurcation intersection being where the carbon atom is. And being of spherical nature, it's very strong. It can give up electrons. We have a clean process, like I say. If you look at these slides, electron microscopic pictures shows that our particle size is very small compared to other vendors. Very, very small. Ours are 20 nanometers, theirs are 1200 nanometers. And you can see ours is black, the one on the left, and the other ones are contaminated with solvents. And that's their as produced or sublimated carbon 60, which is a higher heat process it's like vacuum oven drying it, but it's a much higher heat process. They actually sublimate the carbon. In other words, it goes from a phase transition from a solid to a gas. There's no liquid phase. That's called sublimation, and it reformulates as carbon 60. And it cleans up a lot of the solvents, but still not all of them. They're still crystalline in shape and form. These are 20 nanometer spheres, perfectly round, and the higher concentrations. You can see the magnifications on the right. We have this all published on our website. So ours is very bioavailable due to the small size. It travels around the body. Just to give you some idea, if you hollowed out a red blood cell, these 20 nanometer spheres of carbon, we can fit 14 billion carbon 60 molecules inside one red blood cell. So they are very small. They work on a mitochondrial level. If you consider like a car wash sponge, a size of a mitochondria, these molecules would be the size of a head of a pin, a common pin. So they get right into the mitochondria very easily. Ours has been tested through testing laboratories, third-party testing, and showing how clean our product is. Most of the carbon 60 companies call themselves, they call it as purity, but purity is not really how clean the product is. Purity, by their definition, is a ratio of carbon 60 to carbon 70 or carbon 84, some of those higher fullerenes. So so ours is clean. It has no trace elements or metals, sulfur, chlorine, potassium, sodium, anything else. The only thing we have in ours is a trace amount of oxygen. So it's very clean. That's very, very, very important, because the solvent they use is toluene, which is a gasoline additive, a hydrocarbon solvent, and it accumulates in your body. Your body does not know how to get rid of it. So it sequesters it into your fat tissues of your body until it builds up. In about 4 months, you start getting some negative effects, or sooner if you're not very fat. If you're a thin person with a low amount of adipose tissue, you notice the effects of the negative of the toluene much sooner. Some of them notice it the first day. Ours is pure and natural. It's black. It's very black. Carbon 60 is extremely black. My competitors, they're all solvent tainted. And when you put it in carbon 60, the molecule, you take the molecule, you put it into solvents. What happens, it swells the molecule and changes the lattice structure between the atoms. So the light refraction will reflect over the distance. That's what makes color, is the spacing distance of the lattice structure. If they're so far apart, they'll reflect the color red. If they're a little further, there's purple. And so when it's close together, they absorb all the light, making it black. And that's why most of my competitors have a purple tint to their product, because they have trace amounts of solvents in them. Yeah, we're all third party, not, we have complete transparency. All the testing is published. We're organic, non-GMO, contaminant-free, we heavy metal test, all that. We follow all the requirements. And as you age, as you get older, your body cannot remove the toxins as quickly. Or the free radicals. Free radicals are generated in your mitochondria when they convert the food that you eat into ATP. And ATP is a food currency for the body. When it does that, it generates free radicals inside your mitochondria. And the free radicals will taint the cell from functioning properly, but your body naturally gets rid of them. But as you get older, your body does not eliminate the free radicals as quickly. So they build up. You have cell death, apoptosis much sooner because you have more free radicals in your cell. So if you can eliminate the free radicals, you can eliminate early cell death, and you can eliminate some of the aging process of using up the telomere on the end of your DNA spiral that's used to generate new cells in your body. So it's an anti-aging product. Free radical is simply a molecule that's missing an electron, and it's unbalanced, and so it wants to steal an electron from its neighboring molecule. And then that one will steal from its neighbor, that molecule from its neighbor, and so forth. That domino cascade effect is called oxidative stress, and it rips through a cell, and it's very damaging. And so when it damages us, when it rips through your cell, very damaging, it hinders that cell's performance. And that's one electron being transferred from one molecule to another molecule to another molecule. So that's only one electron. That makes a big difference. Now, if you look at the benefits of carbon-60 being a spherical molecule, is very structurally strong, and it can give up an electron without collapsing. And this is the big benefit of what makes carbon-60. It's like an antioxidant, but the breakthrough here is the smallness of size. It's they're 200,000 times smaller than the antioxidants you find in red wines and foods, and berries and so forth. These are all your typical antioxidants which you eat, which are very good for you, but they're large. And so the smallness makes a huge difference of how this product works in your body. It targets free radicals, which generate inflammation. So most people can apply it topically. We have a topical spray you can spray on that's water-based, carrying carbon-60, which I was told was impossible to put it into water. But after 3 years of test and trial and error, I was able to completely get it to suspended water without the use of any additives or actually chemically modifying the carbon-60 molecule by hydroxylating it, by adding an OH group to it. You had 24 OH groups to the 60 available atoms. Now it is water soluble, but now your molecule's bigger, it's chemically modified, it doesn't work as well as the single molecules by themselves. Brain function. People report better clarity of mind. Typically, we have people 8 to 10 days into taking carbon-60. They say they have clarity of mind, they can think better, they can work faster. I have stockbrokers and crypto traders taking the product, and they call me up and say, I made $1 million with your product. Yeah, well, because they can trade faster and do that. And they tell me, says, I bet I made more money than anybody else. I said, no, I got a guy that just crested $1 billion. He was at 700 million. And he said he's been using my product. And he crested, took him a couple of years, but he crested $1 billion worth of crypto. So there's a lot of peer-reviewed studies also on, you looking at amyloid plaques in your brain and so forth like that, which is basically inflammation-based or close to it. The inflammation goes away. There are peer-reviewed published studies on animal studies right now showing that it does help, and they're published on Alzheimer's and dementia, and showing the ability that they do work and help with memory and cognitive function. We have a lot of people talk about that. Performance enhancement. We have athletes that use our product and run with it or they perform as an athlete, every athlete, 100%, not 99%, 100% of the athletes that have taken carbon 60 have taken first place. And I had some that came from middle of the pack to first place. They took first place in their local district, but they moved up into the state into third place over like 9-month period of time. Even a horse, we gave it to a horse that was running. It was a private race where they give the horses drugs or amphetamines or whatever they do. And he gave his horse carbon 60 and he won. It was 4 gentlemen put up $10,000 apiece and they run their horses. And he took first place 6 times in a row. And nobody else, and he took the money 6 times in a row. And so nobody else would race that guy in the horse with the horse when he was taking the carbon 60. Basically, carbon 60 works like a magnet. It's the positive charge of the free radical and the negative charge of the available electrons on the carbon 60 molecule. So the carbon 60 will actually, by magnetic or electronic force, electron pulling positive, the free radical, they will attract each other. So the carbon 60 actually finds the problem in the body where it's missing electron, gives an electron, the problem solved. And it works fairly quickly. It'll penetrate the skin of a body and reach an organ within 5 minutes. We had a clinician in Canada, in Toronto, Canada. She used a biofeedback system to determine the health of the organs. And what she did is she put the carbon 60 topically on scanned their body, got the health of the organs, put the carbon 60 on their chest, came back in 5 minutes later and scanned them again. Typically, she spends a month with traditional supplements and she'll see a 10% increase in the health of the organs. In 5 minutes, she saw a 35% increase in the health of the organs after just applying it topically. And she's been doing this for 20 years. So she's very confident in her equipment. She was so excited that she bought a plane ticket for her and a business partner. They flew from Toronto to Denver, took an Uber, met me at my office and laid all the paperwork out on the table and said, why is this happening? Because she's never seen anything work that good in her lifetime. Skin health, it helps with fine lines and wrinkles, age spots, blemishes. Even we have a picture proof of a gentleman, probably about a 12-year-old boy. He's in Vietnam, and he had a birthmark on the side of his face, the purple birthmark. And after, I think it was 6 or 8 days, the birthmark was 80% gone. And that's a genetic defect from birth. I don't understand why and how that would work that way, but it did. And we have other people with blemishes, age spots, wrinkles, even crusty patches, a word that begins with C, mutated cells. That we've seen people that have them and confirm them what they were. They did biopsies on them. And in about 4 days, if you put the carbon 60 on it, it'll form a ring around that scab, like somebody had a pen that had white ink in it and drew a white line around that. And I was told that was the white blood cells coming up, and it forms a barrier between that scab. And in about 10 days or 14 days later, that scab just falls off and those mutated cells are gone. And you just have like perfect, beautiful, it looks like baby skin, actually. It's quite young. Saving lives. Yes, so far we have 36 people that have claimed that life was saved by taking carbon 60. A couple of them, they saved their life twice because they were toxified, but yeah, 36 people have told me this is what happened. Energy boost, people that are working in the field. I've got a truck driver out there, and I have a myriad of anecdotal stories, testimonies coming in. So if you want to ask any testimonies later on in this presentation or ask about any particular health problem, I have thousands of testimonies, so I can tell you what happened. But people get an energy boost, and that's where we came up with the slogan, 70 is the new 50 with carbon 60. because so many people called me, said, look, I'm 70 years old. I feel tired. I'm sluggish. I don't have the energy I used to. They start taking my product. And they said, I haven't felt like this since I was 50. We've had a truck driver, over the road semi truck driver, female. She's 64 years old. She said, I can't unload the trucks anymore. I can't do that anymore. She started taking the carbon 60. She said, I'm back in the game. And it didn't take her long, like a couple of weeks. It doesn't, this product works very quickly. Once it seeks out that positively charged molecule and attaches to it, it's over. The game, the problem's fixed. This is glyphosate toxicity. This gentleman worked in a flour mill where they killed all the wheat with glyphosate. And he was exposed to all that flour for quite some time. And his legs you can see on the left here, before it's all crusty and not very mobile and not very functional. After a month, this is his leg on the right. It's, not perfect, but it's greatly improved. This is chemotherapy. This was after 90 days after chemotherapy. And then this is only like 4 days after putting the carbon 60 on topically. Those are the results that happen from her hand to her hand. We have a wound healing doctor in Hollywood, Florida. He uses it for treating people with blood sugar levels. And that have sores that don't heal, and he'll put it on topically, our water-based mist, and within like a week or so, they close up and they heal up. This is the matter of fact. This is the picture, the wound healing doctor. This was a before and after, and that's like 8 or 10 days after he started applying it. So pretty amazing results we have, and they are all anecdotal. We don't have any clinical trials to back this up. His foundering with a horse hoof, they were about to put the horse down. It couldn't walk around. Within like 10 days, that horse was actually galloping. And then after 3 months, you can see it started growing the hoof out. After 5 months, the hoof looks really good. Of course, it grew out and they trimmed it. But even with horses, there's no placebo effect there. This is the birthmark on the face. This was 6 days after applying it topically. His face went away. His blemishes disappeared almost significantly. Let's put it that way. This is face serum before and after 30 days of use. That's our carbon 60 in the squalane oil. Squalane is a high-end cosmetic oil, and it absorbs into the skin very nicely. And it brings the carbon 60. The carbon 60 will go into the skin anyways by itself because it's so small. But before and after, you can see your skin is more supple, more radiant looking. There's stacking of red blood cells in your body with rouleau. We had, I think, 5 customers, patients, they call them. They did a before and after, and this was, I think, 30 days before and after. From stacking in ugly looking cells and irregular to nice, fine, separated, round looking, healthy cells. So that was the difference with live blood cell analysis there. We did this is the only clinical trial that I think has ever been done on humans. And it was a small one that we did with the female biome. We had a gut biome doctor that wanted to do gut level studies because we had a lot of people that had gut problems resolve with the carbon 60. But these females were miles apart. So he said, the gut biome, same as the vagina biome, it's a biome, and they could the woman could swab themselves and send the samples in, and he would test them for the bacteria. And it turned all the bacteria upside down or straightened it out, all from having too much bad bacteria to the good bacteria that you need. And that turned that around in 15 days. The woman injected the carbon 60 with a syringe with no needle, one milliliter syringe with no needle. They injected it into the vagina and also took it orally for 15 days, swabbed themselves before, swabbed themselves after. Everyone came back in really good, perfect shape. This is a brown recluse spider bite. If you ever seen one of those, it kind of melon balls your skin right out. This one got bit. It stops the necrosis. It's a toxin. So the toxin is neutralized. Toxins, by definition, are electron stealers. They come into your body and they steal electrons. You give a toxin an electron, it's no longer a toxin. It has no more charge or affinity. It passes out your body. It passes out through your GI tract from what we've seen. But this was pretty good with a brown recluse. Radiation protection. Radiation is a sine wave. And if you get into your gamma rays and your X-rays, your high-end radiation, the high frequency waves, those are the ones that are most dangerous because with the frequency, they're more the probability of them hitting an electron is much, much, much greater. If you can imagine a sine wave going across one piece of paper, and putting a dot on it, the likelihood of that sine wave hitting that dot, which is considered an electron, is kind of remote. But if you go up and down a million times, there's a much, much greater probability that sine wave is going to hit that electron and knock it off the particle. And that's why the higher frequency waves are much more dangerous than the low frequency waves. And that's why 5G, 6G, they're talking now and so forth like that. They're talking that, what is it, 1811, it was some flu they called it, but it was actually the introduction of sine waves. This is another person that has hip pain and so forth like that, and they spray the topical product on there, and typically the pain goes away, it stays away. It depends upon how much pain or how much inflammation you have going on in your body. I had someone just the other day, I had a barbecue at my house and they came by and they said, yeah, your product, I put it on a couple of days ago. They had a joint in their thumb that was sore. They sprayed it on there and they said it's still not hurting. And that was a few days. So it depends upon the particular person as how long it would last, but it's not a cure, but it does stop the inflammation. People that have peripheral nerve pain. I was at a a supplement store in Florida, and a gentleman walked in, and I said, and he was walking kind of funny, and I said, what do you got going on? And he says, well, I have peripheral nerve pain. And I said, well, here, take this product, go sit down outside, spray it on your feet, and come back in a few minutes and tell me what you think. I said, most likely your pain will go away. And he says, gosh, with an offer like that, he says, I can't refuse to not try it. So we went outside, took his socks and shoes off, sprayed it on his feet, put his socks and shoes back in, came in, and he said, I can feel my feet. And I've had other people do the same thing too. They can feel same thing with uric acid buildup in your toe. I've got, if you know David Avocado Wolf, he had that problem. He sprays it on his toe, and within minutes, the pain goes away. I had a gentleman, I was going door to door when I started doing this, and there was a guy that taught Taekwondo, and next to it, there was a supplement store. So I went and revisited this gentleman with Taekwondo, and he says, I can't walk very good. He was on crutches. He had uric acid buildup in his feet. He needed his crutches to get around, and it was very painful. I said, okay, here, spray some on your feet. I'm going next door. And well, this is when we were using the carbon 60 and the sunflower oil. So he rubbed some on his feet. And I said, I'm going next door to see if I can sell my product. So I went back door and left and went out to my car. He comes running out without crutches and say, I can't believe it. My pain's gone. So I've got like thousands of stories of anecdotal evidence leaning things in the right direction. Knee pain, joint pain, lower back pain. They all work very similar. It really helps with pain. And that's what I do when I go to an expo and I have a booth there. People come by with pain, I'll spray it on them, and they'll walk 20 feet away, turn around and come back and say, hey, the pain's gone. So I've seen pretty miraculous results with that. This lady here, her mom cried. Because she has no longer with knee pain, her mom started crying. She was so emotionally moved because the pain went away after having years of pain. X-ray proof. We have X-ray proof of it by a doctor. They looked at the carbon, the knee before and after taking the carbon 60. I had a gentleman that had joint on joint, bone on bone on his knee, and he could, get up, walk to the front door, stop, grimace in pain, walk to his car, sit down, and drive away. Grimace in pain again, and he was on cortisol and painkillers of some sort, and he was still having all this pain. After 3 months of using the carbon 60, he says, I don't need the cortisol, I don't need the painkillers. He says, I'm not 100% perfect, but I can get around and I have my mobility back. And we believe why the cartilage takes 3 months to work, it did in that case, is because the lack of blood flow that's in the cartilage. Then you get your ligaments and tendons, they take a couple weeks or so, something like that. But your soft tissue like muscle or nerves or things like that, that go pretty quickly. We had a girl that had, gosh, what am I going to call it here without naming the disease? Because I don't want the FDA coming after me, but she had cognitive function that's caused by vaccines. And she finally, after taking the product for the first time, she looked her mom straight in the eye and started talking to her, and actually emptied the bin on the vacuum cleaner and was able to vacuum. So, I mean, it helped with that young girl. Yeah, stamina, running, recovery, people that have uric acid buildup, not uric acid, but lactic acid buildup in their muscles and so forth. There's a methodology. Somebody explained to me how it goes away, but it actually attacks the lactic acid buildup. So there's no such thing as delayed onset muscle soreness, DOMS anymore, delayed onset muscle soreness. That pretty much goes away when people use this product. They don't have the soreness of the muscles. So if they want to work out, they can work their upper body day after day after day and work their upper body tomorrow. I've got Frank Zane. He was using the product. He was. I got a picture of him right here, but he was using the product, teaching Hernandez or training Hernandez at the time. And of course, Hernandez took first place. And somebody said, he told me not to mention his name in the same sentence as steroids. But one gentleman that I was just talking about, he said it's like being on steroids without the aggression. And that's what he attributed the carbon 60 to being like. Vision, we have many people, this is the third most reported thing that we see. Their vision improves. They don't need their cheaters, their reading glasses, their floaters disappear. Their degradation of the retina in the back of the eyeball, that goes away. That grows new cells or whatever. They can't see it anymore. The pressure in the eyeball goes away also. And that's about 3 months, about a month to see improvement with your eyes. People have reported. Hearing loss. I've had a few people that were stone deaf. They could not hear anything. They put the drops in their ears. They could talk on the phone that they could start to hear that afternoon. The next day they were talking on the phone with that same ear. And they were looking at laser surgery and they were looking at hearing aids and all kinds of other alternatives. But just putting 4 drops of the carbon 60 sunflower oil in their ear, they saw their improvements and the results very quickly. I had a couple people like that. People that have ringing in their ear. Not everybody. By a long shot, but I'd say a third or more have seen their ringing stop or diminish significantly. And that's by just putting like 4 drops in your ear, let it wet your eardrum, and then sit up, rub it on your ear, behind your ear, on the skull, on your ear. And apparently the hearing loss, I want to go back here. Apparently the inflammation stopped those bones from rattling, and carbon 60 attacked the inflammation and got rid of that so the bones could rattle. That's the only rational experience I can think why it worked. Sleep. Most people, we recommend taking it in the morning because it will activate those cells, even if they're dormant brain cells that have too many free radicals, it will turn them on and you can thought process better and you stay awake thinking of more stuff. So we recommend taking the carbon 60 in the morning. And some people take it twice a day, but we recommend them taking it if they have a more severe condition. We recommend them taking it like 6 o'clock in the evening, so their body gets to process it a little bit, so they can sleep. It's not like an amphetamine or anything like that. It just turns your brain on, so it's just those cells are now working that were dormant before or partially dormant. Performance, a cyclist called me up. He was taking my product and he says, I've taken first place, second place, taking your product. Would you like to sponsor me? So we bought him a few t-shirts and gave him some free product. And he kept winning first place, second place. And he's holding up 2 bicycles, one for the gravel race and one for the mountain race. And he won both divisions one year. And I'm sure he's still winning. Scientific studies. Me being a scientist and with an engineering background, I look at everything and I don't leave too many stones unturned. If there's a question there, I want to resolve it. We've looked at, you can Google carbon 60 and any health issue that you can think of, any pharmaceutical determined or named health issue and carbon 60, and you will see a peer-reviewed published study like in PubMed or National Institute of Health or Springer about it. And we have many of them published or accessed on our website. You can read them there, but once you click on them, you go off our website. So our website is www.c60.com. And I recommend putting the www in there when you search for it, because that'll get you a directory to our site and not navigate these other companies that have copycatted me, basically. But they buy the commercial grade carbon 60, which is solvent extracted out of soot. And I developed a process, being a carbon engineer, of converting something that has carbon into carbon 60 molecules without the use of any solvents or toxins or any contaminants anywhere. Like I said, the only contaminant we have in our product is about 0.5% of oxygen, if you call that a contaminant, but it hasn't been a problem. We don't have negative results. We don't have the solvents that everybody else does, or the clusters that are very large. The clusters that are produced by the solvent extraction techniques, even if they sublimate it, they crystallize and they form these shards or knife-like structures of crystalline structures that are not very compatible with your cells, and they're very large. And that's why my competitors have to mix theirs for 2 weeks to try to break those clusters down. We mix ours for 2 minutes. We don't have to try to break the clusters down because we're already starting with 20 nanometer particles. So ours is very, very bioavailable and, well, of course, easier to produce. And our cost is less than our competitors also. They charge quite a bit more. The HIV and viruses, carbon 60, there's a couple publications here. We'll get inside the HIV virus. And they say they believe by geometry, being spherical in structure, get inside the virus and stop it from being able to reproduce or proliferate in your body. And so there's some PubMed, whatever, National Institute of Health, whatever, publications on that, peer-reviewed published articles there. Same thing with COVID. We had people on their deathbed. One gentleman, I talked to him today, and he said he was in a hospital on his deathbed. His brother brought him in a bottle of carbon 60. The next day at 3 o'clock, he left the hospital. He walked up and got out of there. Not saying that it's a cure for anything, but it did help this gentleman recover. Daily consistency is important on startup. If you want to take it, don't take it 2 days, take a day off, take it another day or two, and take it every day in the mornings. Just pop it in your mouth with or without food. and use a topical application to flood a particular part of your body with the carbon-60 molecules. Like take it orally, it'll go systemic throughout your entire body within a couple minutes, and then put it on topically over a troublesome area, whether it's a thyroid. I got a story about a thyroid doctor. He had like 30 patients come in on a Tuesday. It was his thyroid day. And they all came in. He tried it topically in their office. And he said he had 27 out of the 30 reported positive results with it, just putting it on topically in his office within a few minutes. I was at an expo and I had a similar situation. I had a gal come by. She was wearing a Parker and puffy Parker and some like ski pants, some to keep her warm. She says, I'm always cold. And she didn't want to take it orally. So I said, well, just put a little bit on your neck. And she did. And in a few minutes, she comes over to me and she says, I'm sweating. And of course, I got to enter my joke. I said, I do that to all the girls. And, but anyways, she said, I'm sweating. She said, I don't sweat because my thyroid. She says, and so she got a bottle of the product and she was happy with it. Our best sellers are our carbon-60 and sunflower oil. The sunflower we use is a seed oil, but it is a low omega-6 seed oil. It's actually lower than any quality olive oil in omega-6 content. And all of them are organic, non-GMO. They're all cold pressed, all of our oils. So we did the research and picked out the best we can find for our sunflower oils. Our best sellers are our water-based topical mist, our carbon-60 and sunflower oil, and our face serum. We introduced the face serum, and within 6 months, that became our second best-selling product. So that's what there. We do have wholesale, reseller, affiliate programs or whatever. Any questions, you can email our company email at info@c60.com. For a copy of this presentation, or if you'd like to visit our website, please do. And for better health, it's Bob Greska, and give us a call. We have a live operator that answers the phone, and usually me or somebody else in the office, but they're all very versed. And initially, I had my son and a friend of mine, Jeff, that still works for me. I get off the phone with a customer and they tell me all the stuff and they go, cut it out, you're kidding. And they said, you're making half of that up. They didn't believe me. So I put my phone on speaker. The next call I got, I did this for about 10 calls in a row. I put it on speaker and I said, listen to their story. I said, I don't know who this is calling. And within 10 phone calls that they just sat there quietly and listened while I talked to them, they were convinced how good the product was. But anyways, that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions or comments, I'm ready for them.
Okay, thank you so much, Bob. That's interesting as always.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Have you had any alpha-gal syndrome people use this?
What kind of gals?
Alpha-gals from the tick, the Lone Star tick?
I've had people that have had Lyme and use it, and they were bedridden, and I've got a video on that. That's on our website, and the video is I have my life back. And she actually flew out to Denver, and we did a video with Kathy Ireland, and she was one of the 5 or 6 stars that we had talking about carbon-60 that flew in from all parts of the country to do video testimonies. But I don't know about that other situation, but she had Lyme.
Alpha-gal, you can't have any red meat or dairy products. Or you could die of shock.
Okay.
Like an
Well-
extreme allergy from the tick.
Okay. Well, you know, there's something that's either it's a toxin or some of your cellular function is not working properly.
No,
And
I'll explain it. It
okay,
comes from, okay, the tick bites a deer. All mammals have a particular sugar protein, and I can't be real scientific about this, but they have this protein. All the mammals except humans and apes. And if you get bit by one, a tick that has that protein in it, and it goes into your bloodstream, then your body sends out antibodies to fight it off. And after a while, you become like a person who's allergic to peanuts, and you can just die of anaphylactic shock. So, without knowing what hit you, because you didn't know about alpha-gal syndrome, which is relatively new, but not to a lot of us, because like I've been bitten by several of these stupid ticks now. Probably the only person you know that has a bag of ticks in her bathroom
no,
that I'm saving for some researcher.
yeah, I don't know of anybody who's had that. I do know people that have pollen issues where they have wheezing and, you know, runny nose and so forth like that. And they'll actually take the carbon-60 sunflower oil and snort it up their nose. And the next day they won't have any pollen issues. It's gone. I mean, within a day.
Mm-hmm.
I got a gentleman that just tried that today. I said, here's a bot. He's my print, one of my printers that prints out some of our publications or some of our flyers. And he's also, well, we've been known each other for a while, so he's a good friend. I said, here, try this, snort it, and tell me what happens. And so what that's going to happen, he'll let me know tomorrow.
Well, what our problem is that if we only way we could test it that way would be to take a risk of dying. So we'd have to take the product and then go get tested again and see if the you know if we still are testing positive for the protein or the
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, our track record for toxicity is carbon. It's natural. It's, you know, we're made out of 20% carbon. You know, the food we eat is made out of carbon, the vegetables and the meat and the fish. So it's not, unless they're allergic to or have a reaction to sunflower oil, the carbon is totally inert in the body. It's not going to hurt anybody. And our product has
Oh
not,
no,
because
it
we don't
wouldn't
have
hurt me.
salts.
The product wouldn't hurt me. It would be if I tested it by eating meat.
Oh, I
I
see
would
what you
have to
mean.
go
Yeah,
get
yeah,
my
yeah.
blood
Yeah.
tested to see if it's still safe to eat meat after using the product.
Well, you're on your own there.
So yeah, so I just wondered, it sounds like it might work. Nothing else that I know of.
I would be surprised if it didn't. You know, I mean, statistically, we have over a 98% success rate or more, 99. I mean, for any health issue, any biological health issue. I'm not talking broken bones, mechanical defects, or chiropractic, but even then, I had people that like went in for hip replacements and they go in a week later, not, and usually it's a month before they get on the treadmill. But this one guy gets his hip replacement, goes into the doctor for a week, and a week later he goes in so-called buck diddying around, and they put him on a treadmill that day, 1 week. And I've got video of showing how the carbon-60, I haven't published this because, you know, people talk about self-assembling carbon, graphene oxide, and all these things, you know, so I didn't publish it, but I have pictures. It took me 20 shots to get it. But of carbon-60, I put some on the back of a credit card where there are miniature Grand Canyons. And the carbon-60 will go to the tip of that V, the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and the carbon will actually start filling up that canyon, like looking down in the Grand Canyon and watching the river rise. It would be filling up with carbon. And they use carbon excessively, like a carbon felt for burn victims where they have no skin left. They'll put a patch of carbon fiber felt in that area to provide nucleation sites for new tissue to start to grow on. And so I'm assuming that's the same thing happens with the carbon-60 powder in those miniature Grand Canyons or in cracks and crevices in your body, because people mend up much, much, much faster. And so that's what I think's going on there.
Thanks.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I missed the part on how carbon-60 can be reflective of the light and absorb the light at the same time, and also how can carbon-60 be applied on eye health issues?
Okay, well, carbon-60 is black. Being black, it absorbs all the light that's coming through, and that's why it's black. It absorbs all the energy. That's why they paint things black to absorb the sunlight, to make them heat up faster. And it's used in solar cells and automotive and lubricant applications. So as far as reflecting light, carbon-60, what is it? I forget the name of it, but it's a very, very black paint. We bought some. Our product is much, much, much blacker. If you put some in a aluminum tin and look at it, you can't even tell how much is in there because it doesn't reflect any light at all. I believe our carbon-60 is the blackest thing on the planet. I have not seen anything else that comes close. And how it works for the eye, you can apply it topically, the oil over your eyelids, and it will penetrate and reach into the eye. I had a girl that was doing that. She was blind, black blind. She couldn't see anything. And she also was a double amputee, so she might have been, I don't know, a diabetic or something like that. But she was black blind. She put it on her eyelids, and within 10 days, she could see the hot spots, the lights on the ceiling, and she could see like looking through a blanket. And that's just an anecdotal testimony. They call me over the phone. I don't make this stuff up. So putting it on your eye, or even a topical mist, the water-based product, you can just spray it on your eyelids. And we don't recommend putting it in your eye because we are not certified sterile. We use distilled water. We have clean equipment. We have a pretty good clean room. But still, since we're not certified sterile, we cannot recommend putting it directly in the eye. But on your eyelid, it reaches in there, it gets in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a question, Bob, about what's the difference between C60 and C70?
Well, C70 has 10 more carbon atoms, which actually changes the shape of it, the form. It looks like a rounded nose rugby ball.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, and of course, it has a bigger diameter one direction than the other, and it's not very stable. As if it gives up electrons, it will suffer some structural integrity. That's it. There's C60, there's C70, there's C84, there's C96, there's C104. There are many carbon-60 molecules, but the only one that's truly spherical is the carbon-60 molecule, which looks like a soccer ball, made out of pentagons and hexagons. It's got 12 pentagons and 10 hexagons. I think 14 hexagons. Yeah, 14 hexagons.
Somebody cost. So what it would cost?
What would cost? What, the product?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, our flagship product, which we produce quite a bit of, carbon-60 and sunflower oil, we have wholesale programs for that. They're all under $100, and they're all basically a 40 or 45-day supply.
Okay.
And of course, the volume, if you buy more volume, you get a discount. Or if you set up a wholesale account, you get it for like half price.
Now, I'm not sure. Didn't just answer. Somebody asked, how do you treat vision?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can't see those here.
Okay. So how they want to know how you treat vision.
Well, people take it orally. It goes systemic throughout their entire body. I had somebody with a detached retina, and I actually had someone also with a severed spine. He was a classic, what do you call it? He was paralyzed on one side, he couldn't move, and the other side he couldn't feel, right down the middle of his body. He took the product, and within short order, within a couple of weeks, it could have been a couple of days, this was a long time ago, he could move his fingers for the first time in like 20 years. And they're using carbon nanotubes, which is basically carbon hexagons like chicken wire that's kind of rolled up like a tube, and they're using those, they're injecting those into the spine where it's been severed, exercising it a little bit so these things line up a little bit, and they're getting conductivity and spinal work. So they're regaining some feeling and some movement.
Mr. Greska, this is
Yes.
Dr. Patel calling. I'm a retina specialist. So you said that detached retina was cured by this medication?
I'm sorry, what was cured?
Your detached retina? Retinal
Yeah,
detachment?
I can't use the word cured. It helped him regain some sight. Yes. Yes, it did.
Without surgery, with just medication.
Yes, just with applying this product topically and taking it orally. It penetrates the skin so quickly, the skin, the bones, the muscles. It's very, very, very small. Like you could put 14 billion of these molecules inside one red blood cell. So they're very, very, very tiny. That's 14 billion with a B. That's a lot of them. So they're extremely tiny. And yeah, it has helped one person that I know of with a detached retina.
Have to regain the vision or
They could, well, yeah, it helped. I don't know if they fully regained it or not, but they said their vision was improving.
and
And
without
I
any
would imagine it would fully heal itself because the carbon 60 would lay down a bed of carbon, in which would be sites for nucleation sites for cells to join on and to attach. So I've seen miraculous stuff. With everything else that I've seen happen and have reported to me, I would believe that, yeah, you know, maybe topical application on the eyelid. You know, I had one company, Hippocrates down in Florida, they wanted to inject it into, you know, but I said, you know, I'm on the picture there because I don't want to go that way. You know, I don't want to take the liability risk. You know, we got a good thing going, and you don't need to inject it because it will reach an organ topically on your skin within 5 minutes.
Unbelievable. How about glaucoma? For glaucoma, is it good for glaucoma?
Glaucoma, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I could talk about pressure in the eyeball, and yeah, I had, I had an interview with a couple brothers, and they were talking about their pressure in their eyeball so much they used the term glaucoma. We had to cut it out. We couldn't use the video or the audio. Yeah, I did that from a hotel room down in Florida when I was out there, and we did the interview, and it was on a radio show, a pretty popular or nationwide radio show. But
Wow.
we couldn't republish it because if we publish it, we're making claims.
Mhm.
You know, and if they said pressure in the eyeball every time, we would have been fine. We could have published it. Being a dietary supplement, we got to be very careful at what we say. But yes,
It helped. Yeah, of course. And how about the ALS and Parkinson?
Okay, I had someone with muscle degradation. I'll call it that. And he was going to a chiropractor, which I knew was a friend of a friend, basically. I was introduced, and he got stronger. And as far as I know, and from what they were telling me, that he's the first person in the world that actually got stronger from taking the product. And what was the other question on what?
Parkinson.
Oh,
Or the
well, I've had people with muscle disorders. They used to ball up and clench up on the floor, and they used to have, all their muscles would cramp up. They stopped doing that. I had a gentleman with, God, he was just flailing all over the place. He couldn't even walk, hardly. You think he's going to fall over. And he took it 3 days later. He stopped his movement. He wasn't even moving weight from foot to foot to foot. So I would say it's worth a try. It's not expensive. It's a good supplement. There's no negative, no downside, no toxicity.
And if we increase the dose, then we increase the recovery or no? I mean,
Being-
we get a higher, like with increasing the dose because it doesn't have side effects, so they can drink half the bottle if they want.
Yeah, they can. It's expensive when you do it that way. But I have a gentleman in New York. He'll drink a half a bottle sometimes. And no negative, no downside. I had one chiropractor here locally that's been a longtime friend, and he was taking like a half a bottle a day for a couple of weeks, and he said he could actually see the carbon, coming out of his skin. That's what he said he thought he saw. It looked like that. I've had people that take just a regular dose, and they've had an accident when they were in a teenager, and here they're in their 60s, and a piece of glass would pop onto their skin and would reject it and detoxify the piece of glass out of their skin after taking the carbon 60.
Wow, that's amazing.
Same thing with those people that have those fibers coming out of their skin. I've had people take that and they'll close up they just put it on topically and they would close up those wounds. They wouldn't be there anymore.
Wow. One more question I have. Yes, I did. One time I attended a conference with Dr. Nixon. He's a PhD in Australia. He had a Substack and he invited us. And I think they said, oh, carbon 60 may cause assembly or some self-assembly. Is that true?
Well, if you can build a circuit board by putting it in your body, that's kind of crazy. I don't believe we have reached that technology yet. The people, talking about graphene oxide, which is a sheet of basically chicken wire with the intersections being carbon molecules. And they discovered the carbon 60, the graphene. Graphene by taking some basically something like pencil lead, and they would put a piece of Scotch tape on it and pull it apart. And they pulled it apart so many times that they pulled off layer by layer by layer of the graphene. So that's actually how they discovered graphene, is with Scotch tape. So
I have a quick question. Is there any similarity in the action of this carbon 60 to using methylene blue? You mentioned the mitochondria earlier.
Yeah, I heard about people using methylene blue. I've been told by a few people that I respect a lot to stay away from it, but I don't know that much about it. If it works like donating electrons like an antioxidant, which carbon 60 does, it does other things too. If you take like a battery is like copper and iron or something like that, two dissimilar metals, you put them in an electrolyte. The same thing happens in your body. The same thing with hydrogen machines like Brown's gas and so forth, people breathing the hydrogen gas and oxygen. Same thing in your body, because I did electrolysis. I don't know if you saw the beginning of it where I did electrolysis. I studied that. But if you have over two dissimilar metals, like carbon is very much a cathode, very, very much. This is the most cathodic material on the planet. And if you have something, you put it together, it's like something like magnesium or zinc or something like that, and you put them in close proximity, they will generate, and I've done this experiment, they will generate more than 1.23 volts, which is enough to separate the water in the electrolyte into oxygen and hydrogen. It'll just by forming like a battery type effect. So it pulls the anode, which is the magnesium or zinc or a higher metal. It'll pull those apart at a few atoms at a time. So you can increase the dosage of some of your minerals in your body by taking the carbon 60, by them acting as with the electrolyte acting as a battery, distributing some of those other minerals in your body on the atomic scale, and also giving hydrogen into your body like Brown's gas and people do.
Let me give you a clinical correlation to that. So methylene blue is a redox agent, and it's also an alternative electron carrier. So we use this for the condition called methemoglobinemia, and it donates electrons and then converts hemoglobin to hemoglobin, thus restoring oxygen carrying capacity. So it overlaps with the carriers, being a carrier also with C60. And it also, but one of the things that the highlights of methylene blue, it actually passes electrons through the electron transport chain. So thus, again, increasing production of energy and also lowering down the production of reactive oxygen species. So that there's some overlap with the function, but with C60, one of the bigger eye catchers with this one is I call this the free radical sponge because it's unstable. I mean, meaning free radicals we know are unstable electron molecules, and when I guess they get neutralized by C60. C60 does not get unstable by itself. It stays stable, and that's why it does mimics the enzymes like SOD and even other I guess antioxidant enzymes that we have, and that's why it also is pretty good, as mentioned by Bob here, that it crosses the blood-brain barrier. So it crosses so many barriers because of the smallest particle that it is, and has that ability, and that's why it's something that is different. Because when you talk about how do you compare this basically to other antioxidants? So the thing with antioxidants such as vitamin C, vitamin E, glutathione, so they donate basically electrons to a free radical, and this neutralizes that free radical. And the problem there is, as they give it away, now they lose their own electron. Thus, there's a possibility for them to become unstable now and become a pro-oxidant. And this is again recycled by our own system through glutathione pathways. And the problem there is with this possibility to happen likely to us, this happens a lot when people are toxic. So a good example for you is when you do high dose vitamin C and you have a lot of iron in your system, you now turn your vitamin C into a pro-oxidative I guess effect to your body. But this does not happen with C60. So C60 can handle all of these absorption. That's why it's a sponge, and not be a risk to be a pro-oxidative material that will destroy other things in the body.
Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah, but some of the diseases, some of the treatments, they require the pro-oxidant effect, like ozone and high dose for cancer.
That is right. The problem here is, again, so for people who are giving high dose vitamin C in their practices, we always know that we need to check iron levels here, because when you do that, you will now give this opportunity to increase oxidative stress to the system. And the thing there is, if it's a different conversation when you have cancer, but it's now a different conversation if you don't have cancer. And you actually have, because it's not only cancer that you do high dose vitamin C on. So really, again, knowing the terrain where you're going to give a therapy to is very important in order for you not to have an issue. Another example for you would be the beta carotene intake in relation to smokers, leading to higher cancer risks. And this is for that same reason, because the beta carotene gets, again, oxidized by smoking and now becomes a carcinogen for lung cancer as a risk factor.
Mm-hmm. If you give it a beta-carotene inhalation?
No, this is a supplement. So there are studies that it's not recommended for maintenance of using beta carotene for patients who has lung cancer or smokers, not lung cancer, but chronic smokers should not be taking or vitamin A supplementation because of the higher risk of lung cancer production.
But the doctor who came to the conference of Dr. Clearfield in December, the one that was from Johns Hopkins, and he talked about vitamin C. He said that any disease can be cured with vitamin C because it's a redox molecule and takes electrons.
Oh yeah, I remember. She's the Dr. Bill. That's the
Dr. Levy
group.
Yeah, Dr. Levy. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me make a comment. Carbon 60 was tested in comparison to vitamin C, and they were tested it. That's with my competitor products, which are very large chunks, and they tested it, and it came out to be 172 times more potent than vitamin C. Wow. Now, our product being so much smaller in size, it's probably 1,000 times or 10,000 times more potent than vitamin C.
Right. And then going back, Petronella, to that theory of Dr. Levy, definitely there's truth behind what he says. It's just that sometimes also we in our own approaches as clinicians, we have to understand our individualize our therapies. to our patients. For it's not like I don't for me, it's not a Swiss Army knife to use high dose vitamin C for patients. A good example for you would be again, he did mention about the renal stone theory, right? Production of stones. The thing there is there are really no studies about that. I mean, as I've been trying to look for it, but as the scare of this thought to our patients, they become hesitant to this specific therapy. So that's why, again, there's a time and place for specific uses of therapies. For me, it's just using everything as can fix all, be all. As us, especially us clinicians, it's going to be a hard sell for us to do that without clinical evidence.
Mhm.
And also astaxanthin, I see Dr. Mercola always says that it's 6,000 times more potent than vitamin C, the astaxanthin.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I haven't done much research on astaxanthin, but I heard good things about it.
And
Definitely
carbon 60, it's 10,000 more potent than vitamin C, or how many times? C60.
I would guess 1,000 to 10,000 times our product, our methodology, because my competitors they filter out the large agglomerates with a 22 nanometer, a 220 nanometer filter. So they don't break when they mix it for 2 weeks. All the pieces do not break down into small size, and the better companies out there will filter out the chunks, but they're held together with the solvent residues that are in there, as you've seen, like mud dry and mud crack. When it gets to like a peanut butter consistency and then it evaporates off, all the moisture comes away from those particles and causes the cracking. And that's how they're getting their large chunks of carbon 60 aggregated crystals.
Bobby, there's a study that's worth mentioning about C60. This is the 2012 study done in University of Paris. And this is in relation to the C60 was added into olive oil and it was given to Wistar rats. And again, Wistar rats are basically sickly rats and they're prone to have cancers, tumors. But for this population where it was given, 90% of them basically it was not toxic to them, and even tumors got reduced by using it in this specific type of rats. And even other again mouse studies. There's a lot of mouse studies about C60, and even showed like a lifespan increase and even prevention of cognitive decline. So that's why it's really going to be interesting. Hopefully in the future, there could be some human studies for this and human trials.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah. With the laboratory rats, they gave it to them and it doubled their lifespan. They actually lived 90% longer, and none of the rats taking the carbon 60 had tumors. And the study was trying to find the LD50, the lethal dose 50, where 50% of the population would die, and they could never reach an upper limit. There was no toxicity threshold to the carbon 60. So,
But
and we have, and there's one more, and there's a lot of studies out there now that carbon 60 will stop the metastasis of cancer. Now, I can say that because there's a peer-reviewed published study out there, and we have many of those listed on our website.
wow, that's amazing. But if they give them higher dose, like to mice, they live even longer. Can they live 200% their lifespan if they get more C60?
I would not think so. I don't know. They haven't tested it, and unfortunately, there's not been many human trials. I think we did the only one. I'm a living proof. I've taken carbon 60 longer than anybody on the planet. I started in my laboratory in 2012, and let me tell you this story, because I was making the carbon 60 powder, but it's so small I couldn't contain it, and it filled up the room with this black cloud. And I was inhaling it through my mouth, going into my lungs and into my body. I must have inhaled what I consider like a couple hundred bottles of my product, which is 45 days a bottle. So several thousand days worth of my products, several 1,000 doses. And excuse me, but my stools were black charcoal briquette looking for 3 days. So I know it comes out and goes out your GI tract. I had no negative, no downside. I felt like a cleansing in my body, but that's only my feeling. It's not really scientific evidence. But I had no side effects except for the black stools, and just for 3 days, and that was it.
Mhm. Wow.
And that's when I discovered that the process that I was producing is non-toxic, not like, and I realized that all these other companies use a solvent extraction technique. And so that's when I started a supplement business and subsequently had 100 companies copycat me, and now there's about 50 left. 50 of them fall into the wayside, but they all use the industrial grade carbon 60, which are solvents.
Wow, that's amazing. I remember people that work in mine, those people that miners, they work in mine, they come all black because of they are exposed to that carbon, but that it's different than this, that it's completely different because those people they get lung problems.
Yeah, that's completely different. It's a different particle size. Even my competitor products with the larger particulate size, they have found them in mice trapped in the liver, the nephrons of the kidneys, and also in the liver. So that they're pretty large. So having a small particle size, it makes all the difference in the world. Plus the bioavailability that it has.
Yeah, and probably those were not like shaped like this ball.
No, they're irregular shape. They're square, they're round, they're jagged, they're all kinds of shapes, but they're not spherical. They're like broken crystals, like broken shards of glass or quartz or something. They're broken, they're crystalline in nature. When I was at the University of the Colorado School of Mines and I brought my carbon 60 powder and like 6 different other ones up there from different manufacturers of carbon 60 to have them look underneath the microscope on the transmission electron microscope, or was it scanning? And it was the higher power one. And they looked at it and they said, yeah, your carbon 60 is non-crystalline, all these others are crystalline. And I go, I thought at that point I didn't have carbon 60, but finding out that when they have the solvents in there, they use the toluene, and toluene has trace amounts of toxicity in it, like paraffins going up the Kraken Tower. If you're familiar with that, when they separate all the hexane, the toluene, the paint thinner, the lack of the gasoline, during that main flume going up there, it'll carry a trace amount of paraffins. And when we've taken toluene itself and put a pan of it, 2 quarts of it, and simmered it on outside. And what's left is paraffin. Not much, a couple thumbnail size worth of paraffin. That's about what's left in a couple quarts. But when that liquid goes from a very fluid liquid with paraffin throughout it, and then it condenses and it goes into like a maple syrup consistency, and then a peanut butter, and then a honey consistency, and then a crystalline honey. That's when it pulls all the particles together and sticks them together, and that's the problem with the industrial grade using that for a supplement. They're all stuck together in a crystalline form.
Very, very interesting. That's amazing. That's amazing to be able to treat the hearing loss and the eye problem or to get some improvement. Yeah,
eye problems, skin problems, knee problems. I mean, we've tried it. Everybody has tried. I get a call, at least one call every day, somebody calling me up or a couple telling me, I've tried your product for this and it works. They said, I thank you, Mr. I get people thanking me all over the place.
And how about bacteria? Does it kill bacteria too, or only the viruses?
I don't think it's antibacterial, but I've heard some people say that it was, but I have not seen any bacterial. Bacteria is an organism itself. It would thrive on carbon 60. It's small enough to get into any bacteria. So I think the bacteria would possibly, live. It's not going to hurt. It's not a toxin to the bacteria. It's not a toxin to anything.
Say, Bob, Adam Crouch here. I just want to tell you, your product's been great. all my kids' families have a couple bottles available around their house at all times. Used it on bites, sunburns. One terrific one was my daughter-in-law had to pick up a 12-inch heavy 2-inch deep cast iron pan that was on the stove that got bumped and went headed to a little kid on the floor. And she grabbed the handle. Obviously, she severely burned her hand. She called me. I told her to get the carbon 60 and spray it on liberally. When it dries, which will be shortly, keep spraying it. Use it all through the evening. And ultimately, the redness subsided. The pain, obviously was painful, but the pain continued to subside such that she could finally go to sleep. When she woke up in the morning, it was gone and she never blistered.
Yeah.
So
I've heard that story many times.
yeah, it's fantastic. Use it on wounds, post-operative stuff, pain, the whole deal. So I keep it around all the time.
Yeah, on a wound, you want to let it to close up a little bit, like a couple days later.
Yeah.
That's when we see them. Because if you put it on, even the sunflower, if you put it on there, it's going to keep it too soft and supple, and it doesn't have a chance to dry out. So we tell people, yeah, put it on a couple days later. But yeah, thank you for that. That's we had burn victims. Next day, nothing, gone. Second degree burns, gone. No blister, no nothing.
Yeah, this wound thing, and I was just mentioning briefly, it was a several days after post quadriceps tear repair, and then it was available and open, and it could be sprayed on, no problem.
Nice, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Did we talk about? There's questions about maximum doses, overdoses, things like that.
Well, I can briefly touch on that. There is no overdose in it. It would just pass through your body like an unused vitamin. Like I said, I have people drinking, had bottles of it, a bottle a day, and with no negative, no downside. You're just wasting it at that point. I mean, in each serving size, which is 1/8 of a teaspoon, you're getting, you're getting like a quadrillion carbon 60 molecules of these small tiny spheres. So you're getting a lot of them, and enough, I think, for every third cell in your body would have a carbon 60 molecule available to it.
Okay.
And so taking it twice a day is better. It's better to take it more frequently than more of it. But I'd say 3 times a day would be my maximum guess, because your body works. You eat in cycles, you sleep in cycles, you go in the bathroom in cycles. Your body works in cycles. So that's why I think would be, the best would be, and that's only, my gut feel of what I think. We've never done any studies. We have done studies with higher doses. We upped the concentration, gave it to a dozen of our long-term customers that knew how it worked. They said, what do you think? This has less carbon in it, this has more in it. And they tested it and they came back and said, no, your original product or what you have right now is spot on. That works the best. Mm-hmm. There's no benefit from putting too much.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just asking the questions here.
Yeah.
Have you used it on toenail fungus? There you go.
Yes, I was on a radio show, the Jeff Friends radio show. We had a guest on there, and he had toenail fungus, and he said, gosh, my toenail was black. I put it on my toenail, 3 hours, gone. It looked like a kid's toenail. And the guest, Jeff Friends, it's his radio show, he had the same situation. So the next time I was on, he said, you remember that gentleman that had the toenail fungus? He said, I had the same thing on my toe. I put it on my toenail, 3 hours, it was gone. It looked clear, normal, like a regular toenail. There was no black on it. I said, and I said, I had a black racing stripe down my big toe on my left foot for 20 years. And I put it on there. I didn't notice it in 3 hours, but the next morning I woke up, it looked like a kid's toenail, clear and fine. And on a similar note, I had a lady, and she was in Bakersfield, California. She did colonics where they flush the bottom out with water, and she put the carbon 60 in the water and flushed out the bottom, and all the fungus would come out in one treatment of colonics versus going back 4 times to get the fungus removed. So I don't know how that works, but that was putting the oil product, the sunflower oil, in the water. And of course, oil and water doesn't mix, but it still did the trick.
There's a question about carbon 60 in cancer patients. Are there any issues?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people with mutated cells.
Mhm.
And there's peer-reviewed published articles on our website that show that carbon 60, especially the water product, has been beneficial with cancer studies. And all those studies, though, are in mice. There's none in humans, but they're all in mice and rats and mammals. And they're all very positive, showing that. And the water product is different. Our product is not hydroxylated. We don't add OH groups onto it, which chemically modifies the carbon 60 molecule. We just mix it in water, and I figured out a process to do that. And it's a process, and it's not an easy process to do. It's a little, you got to hit every there's a few steps you got to make sure every one of them is just right to make it work. And so ours is just carbon 60 surrounded by water. And so, and the water products, even the hydroxylated, have shown very good promise with cancer. And the water product's so much easier to use too. You just spray it on, it dries in 5 minutes, you're done. The oil product, you love it, rub it on topically, you'll be oily for, a couple hours or half hour or something like that, depending upon how dry your skin is. But the sunflower product has a lot of vitamin E in it, so it's beneficial for your skin. But it's all good.
Question about becoming a wholesaler as a practitioner.
Yeah. Call us up or get on the website and go to the top banner, and it'll say, I think shop now, and it'll say wholesaler. You can register as a wholesaler or give us a call. We'll walk you through it or sign you up.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Dr. Nario, got anything online? Any questions?
I think just he answered everything pretty good, Bob. What's the future for C60?
Well, the future of C60, I think it's going to grow. I mean, the more people that become aware of it. The reason it has not grown is because of these 50 companies that make carbon 60, 49 of them use the solvents in the beginning of their process. Some of them clean it up better than others, but that still builds up the toxicity. So that has kind of not had the market explode, because everybody says, oh, carbon 60, I've tried it. I don't have a problem. I had a gal that was using one of my competitive products. She had a leaking gut, and she said with this other product, her and her husband took it for a month, and they sat in the toilet. They had diarrhea because of most likely because of the solvents in it. She stopped taking that product, and a couple of days later, she started taking my product. She had even picture proof of her stomach lining, the little lakes they look like in there, 80% closed up in about 2 weeks. And she had a video of that, of showing the pictures of her inside of her stomach.
So does it mean that, I don't know if this is applicable to C60, the more expensive it is, the better the product, or not really?
We have by far the best product on the market, and we keep the prices down because we want to help people. And we do everything in-house. We convert the carbon, we blend it into liquid, the oil, water, or whatever. We bottle it, we label it, we ship it. We do everything in-house. My competitors, when I started working, I had one of my competitors, he worked for me, and I had him sign a non-disclosure, non-compete, but he started his own company with carbon 60, and he bought the cheapest solvent extracted stuff, and it's purple. He has, because carbon 60 with solvent in it expands the bond lines, changes the lattice structure, so it reflects the wavelength of purple. And they use that as a benchmark. They say, oh yeah, if it's purple, it's good. That's because it has solvents in it. But true carbon 60 without any solvents is black. We took our carbon 60 powder, put it into solvent. We thought we didn't have carbon 60 because it didn't turn purple. I left the bottle in my car in the console, and it sat in the hot and cold of the sun for like 20 days. Colorado here, we have high temperatures and low temperatures. It swing quite a bit. But that cycling caused it to get in, the toluene to get into the carbon 60 molecule and saturate it and turn purple. See, all my competitors' products are pre-saturated with toluene because they'd use that in the extraction process. Even a sublimated has trace amounts of toluene. Even big companies like Sigma Aldrich and so forth like that, they'll admit there are still trace solvents in it. My competitor, one of my big ones out there, he didn't start taking his own product until 2018 because he knew it was solvent produced. They cleaned it up more so, and he said, I finally started taking it himself in 2018. And we started selling it as a supplement in 2013.
Say, Bob, one last question. Have you learned anything as far as using carbon 60 for atrial fib?
No,
Okay, just curious.
I have not. No, I have not. I don't know. I mean, we've had athletes and muscles improve their performance to the point initially we had athletes taking it and the muscles would fire stronger, but they were stretching out their tendons and ligaments because the muscles were so strong, they were pulling on everything so much.
Yeah.
So they had to back off a little bit and work their way into it. I had a hockey player, he was taking it, and he said within a month he could do 15% more reps and 15% more weight in his routine.
Bob, can it help cognitive decline?
Say that again?
Can C60 help cognitive decline, like dementia and all this stuff?
Well, yes, there are peer-reviewed published. One came out in 2022 and one came out in 2025 showing that carbon 60 does help cognitive decline. Those papers are published. If you look up carbon 60 and cognitive decline, Google search, you will find it. If not, I'll find it again for you if you have some difficulty. But that's the second most thing. The first most reported thing people report is more energy because their cells are firing now in 4 days. 95%, approximately 95% of the people report they have more energy. In 8 to 10 days, people report about 80% of the people in 8 to 10 days report they have clarity of mind. They can think better. They can function better. I have a good friend of mine. Their mom had dementia. And she remembered to take the carbon 60 product, but she forgot to take her meds. She goes, what is this stuff? Why is, she had an interest in it. She could remember to take the carbon 60, but she forgot her meds every day.
One other thing is you have several lines. How does anyone get to know which does what? Because I'm not sure how many lines we have already and how do you use all of them?
You mean the product lines we have?
The product
We have a
lines.
sunflower oil. Is that what you mean? Olive oil? Water?
Correct. Yeah.
They all work. They're just a different carrier. Some people like the taste of olive oil. I personally like sunflower oil because it has no taste. But the high polyphenol content in the olive oil gives you that peppery burn in your back of the throat. And at the beginning, people were in the rat study, in the body study, they call it, back in 2012 when it was released by the University of Paris in France by Dr. Fadi Moussa. When he released that, he used olive oil, but he used fresh olive oil from the region. The olive oil we get here is shipped overseas, spends a month in a shipping container at 110 degrees, and is partially already rancid by the time it gets here, and they also adulterate it. And by adding canola oil or something, if it's 20% olive oil, you can call it olive oil, but it's not. So, but we found a really good quality olive oil that we get from California, and it's really good. But so it's a matter of taste. The water has no taste. The water, if you spray the water in your mouth, it tastes like water, but much cleaner, if you can imagine that. Because carbon's a natural detoxifier. Carbon water filters, the activated charcoal. There's three methods. If you have a sponge, it will adsorb a toxin. Absorb, like a sponge. We'll soak it up. Activated charcoal will have a magnetic static charge to it, so it will adsorb a toxin, not absorb, but adsorb, and stick to it. Carbon 60 works in a similar way, but it will give an electron to the toxin to neutralize it, and then it has no more charge or affinity, and it passes out your GI tract.
Now, for the eye issues, does the cosmetic one that you have also help the same way, or do you have to ingest it, or how
Well,
does that work?
the cosmetic one is meant for topical. We don't, all the other products you can eat, put on your skin, it doesn't matter. Um, the cosmetic product, we recommend it for topically on the skin only. It's not really a digestible. It's not going to hurt you if you drink the whole bottle. But maybe if you drank 3 bottles, you might get sick. I don't know, but we don't recommend it. It's not really meant for an ingestible. It's just meant for a topical for your skin. It's squalane oil. It's not squalene. Squalene is derived from shark liver. Squalane is derived from fermented sugar cane, and that's produced and they ferment it in Brazil. They ship it to the United States. They filter it, get all the particulates out of it or dirt, and then they bottle it, and we buy it that way here.
So what I mean is, if you put on your eyelids, for instance, the cosmetic one, could it have an effect on the eye, like the
Yes,
other one?
yeah. The carbon-60 particles are small enough to go through your skin. We like the water product for that because when the water evaporates, you can imagine you just spray it on, you mist it on about 5 inches away, and you mist it on your skin, and those little micro bubbles of water, hemispheres, land on your skin. And as the water, you don't want to rub it in, just let it evaporate. If you rub it in, you make a puddle, it takes longer to evaporate. But if you just let those little micro bubbles evaporate, when the water goes away, the carbon goes into the skin. And we do put a smidgen of glycerin in the water product, only to keep it proprietary. That's one of the reasons. It gives it a slight tactile feel, but it's only like 1 cc per gallon. It's very little. But basically it keeps our product proprietary, because if people got our product and they remove the water by evaporation, they'd be left with the carbon-60 powder. And we don't want people to have that, because they would make up some hokey test and publish, we just keep our stuff proprietary.
Okay.
All right. Question about, have you ever tested absorption by combining it with DMSO?
We have used it with DMSO, did not see any increase in absorption of it. You don't need it. The particles are so small that it goes right through the skin. We just saw no benefit, and the risk of using DMSO for bringing bacteria and other things in your body, it's just not worth it. And you don't need it. And but yeah, we have mixed it with DMSO and tried it and saw no improvement.
I have a question, one more question, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, I want to ask. So this C60, it it gives up electrons, and then it remains stable, but then it's being eliminated from the body. How long it stays in the body, the half-life?
We suspect most of it will be eliminated in the body in about 10 days, but some of it will linger longer than that, but not to any point. I've taken it since 2012. I've been exposed to it or taking the product, and I feel younger, I look younger, and all that kind of stuff, and I have more energy. If I stop taking it, it takes about 2 weeks, and I'll revert to my old self. I'll feel tired. I'll feel sluggish. People that take the product, they don't get sick either. We've seen a lot of that.
To generate the mitochondria, does it cause more mitochondria to produce more mitochondria in the cells?
Does it produce more mitochondria? No, it's small enough to get into the mitochondria to neutralize the free radicals generated by the mitochondria.
Also, it prevents the death of mitochondria.
Well, if you look at it this way, free radicals cause the cell to die. And if you have fewer free radicals, you extend the life of the cell. And then you use less telomere to regenerate new cells. So we have not had telomere testing done. I've been approached by them to test a telomere, but I find some of those tests are so, I don't know. We never had it tested for telomere test. So, but I'm sure your telomere some people claim that it regrows your telomere, makes it longer, but I don't believe that. I don't know. I don't believe that.
It also improves the immune system. Is it on the immune system?
People have told me that, yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. There are people that have problems like that, have stated that their immune system has been stronger. Well, it turns, look at this. Your glands, your secretions, all your things that are not working properly because of the free radicals ripping through those cells, you turn those cells back on by eliminating the oxidative stress of the distilling of a molecule, of an electron from molecule to molecule to molecule, that inhibits the cell's function. You get rid of that cell now functions properly. All your glands and secretions are picked up and they work better.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. I knew the C60 is very good. I heard about a few years ago, but
No?
I think Boston BioLife, they also have had classes about C60 and Health Expert Alliance, I heard. Did you talk to at Health Expert Alliance?
I have not talked to them, no.
Because they have a speaker about C60 there too,
Okay.
with Dr. Jones.
We've sent our carbon 60 over to, now the carbon 60 was first discovered in 85 in a laboratory, but it was discovered before that in shungite. Shungite is found in Karelia, Russia, which is, you got Finland, Sweden, Norway, and then the body of water, and then Russia. It's right there. That's where Karelia is. And that's where a meteor struck a long, long time ago, threw all the organics up into a fireball. It came back down to the earth. Some of it reformulated into shungite, and it was kept a Cold War secret. And also during World War II, it was kept a secret. But they used to send sick people up there drinking the water that naturally flowed through the shungite and having healing issues going on. There was a book published in 2014 in Russian. In 2016, it was published in English. I got the book in 2016 and read it from page 15 to page 41. Exactly the same experiences I was experiencing, with my product at the time, anecdotally. We were getting the same results that were published in that book. That book is still available. It's called Shungite.
It's like Shangani. I think I also have the ball here. I bought it. Is this one? Is this one?
Yeah, that's most likely shungite. It looks like it. They make it into balls. They make it into structures.
I bought it.
I don't know if you can see but this is what raw shungite looks like. It looks like a piece of glass that's just been fractured. But they polish it into balls. They make it into slabs. They put it on the back of your cell phone to absorb EMF frequencies. Yeah, the little chips of it, the size of a button on a shirt, and then they put that on the back of your cell phone. And people have reported good use with that, good luck with that, or helping them with their EMFs. I've had people that live next to a cell phone tower that get quite a bit of EMFs, and they were going crazy basically. And they started taking my product, and they didn't move. They stayed in the same location, but they were in the line of a cell phone tower and close to one. They reported no more EMF problems.
Wow.
Yeah.
Somebody asked for contraindication. Are there any contraindications for taking C60?
Any contraindications? No contraindications with any medications or any other supplements or anything like that. People even taking it with chemo, which is a pro-oxidant, and they want to oxidize the cell and kill it. But with carbon, people have even reported better results taking it with chemo. See, when you get radiation damage, they target the tumor or whatever, and the scatter that comes out around it knocks off free radicals, knocks off electrons, make free radicals. The carbon 60 will neutralize those. so they don't generate and reproduce and cause any more mutated cells.
Wow. But there is also another thing like this. It's organon. Something they said that they make a box, some people stay inside it and they get healed.
With what organ?
I think it's organon, something like that. Okay.
Ormus?
I have to look.
I'm not familiar with that. Or organ. I don't know what that is.
I heard about it, but it's something similar to this, or maybe it's this.
Well, there's been nothing like carbon-60 in the world until recently, because there's nothing that small that gives up electrons that is stable in the body and it doesn't go away. It doesn't cause any problems. No contraindications. Not with our product. None. Zero. Zip. I offer refunds to people that don't like it. In 15 years, we had 5 people that wanted their money back. And that's because they had diarrhea because they were very toxic. They didn't like it because it was black. They were allergic to sunflower oil. Some crazy reasons, nothing serious.
I have a comment, and a question. So because of the toxicity that we live in, I mean, everybody lives in, do you think it takes 2 weeks for you to fill back up again with toxins, and that's why you degenerate back into your other state when you stop for 2 weeks?
I don't know. I don't know if that's why where we have a toxic load in the air, food, and water. We can't get away from
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
I don't care if you eat organic, you're still breathing air, you're still drinking water,
Exactly.
and you're
That's what I'm
still
thinking.
eating some food, and you don't know if your organic food you get is actually truly organic or coming next to someone that's using
Absolutely.
toxins. We even had a
Right.
gentleman with Agent Orange, and Agent Orange is like glyphosate, is very similar. And he cleared up. He said from Vietnam to now, he was cleared up. I had a gentleman in Australia. He was a young kid when he was 3 years old. He'd run across the floor with his socks, the hardwood floor, and slide and go into the countertop. He hit his head. He had a scar on his forehead for 60 years. He's in his late 60s. He put the carbon-60 on it. It kind of healed over. The scab came off and it disappeared. And he had like a young skin at that point. I just put another light on. It's getting dark out here in Colorado. But it kind of scabbed. The scab fell off and in his forehead. And yeah, after 60 years.
It also looks like it's cleaning up the plastics and some of the stuff you're describing.
I don't know about the plastics, to tell you the truth. I would say not, because plastics are a whole different animal. They're not really. I don't think so. Not in my guesstimation. I don't think so.
It'd be an interesting way if we could figure that one out, wouldn't it?
That would be nice.
But how about nanotechnology?
Okay, carbon-60 is nanotechnology. Anything that's underneath 100 nanometers is nanotechnology. That's what they call it, 100 nanometers and smaller. They get up to 1,000 nanometers, it's micron size. And so nano is generally considered 100 nanometers or smaller, and we're at 20 nanometer spheres that we can see underneath the microscope. Now, when we had it tested with the mass spec time of flight, which is basically they shoot electrons at the carbon-60 powder, and by the mass of it and the time of flight, how long it travels, they can tell how many carbon atoms there are. And we have that published on our website, showing that it was 60 carbon atoms. So it has a density, the atomic density of 720 atomic units, which 12 per carbon times 60 is 720. But all the science we're the only company that publishes everything on our website. We have all the science that backs everything up. Nothing. I don't go guessing and making things up. Now, we just state the facts. And I'm amazed with this product. I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I've helped so many people, and it's just a good feeling of doing that and be able to provide it at a reasonable cost. You know, we sell more products, so we can keep our prices down. And gosh, I'm a process engineer, and I worked in aerospace carbon, where our laboratory is basically a clean room, and it's cleaner than medical clean when you talk aerospace quality.
So because this carbon 60 stays for a total of 10 days in the body, during the 10 days, it gives electrons and helps with redox for 10 days, for about 10 days.
Yeah, for about 10 days. When people stop it, they'll see, a degradation. I had somebody email me today. They ran out of carbon 60 and they're feeling sluggish and tired because they stopped using it. They had a couple of bottles of it, and they perked up. And I went to Children's Hospital and I told them what I had, and they basically walked me to the door and said, "We don't want people here doing that. We want people in these beds." It was pretty sad when I said, come on, I bet half of the kids would walk out of this hospital. And they said, "We don't want that. We want," and they had two security guards came and ushered me out the door.
Wow.
Yeah, I started going door to door with this product back in 2013 or 2013. And I went to chiropractors and DOs and naturopathic and started, say, here's a bottle, try it. And I started selling, a couple bottles, and we put up a website, and I think it was January of 2014. Yeah. And we put up a website and started selling it online, and then it grew. And then I got some competitors in there, and people that worked for me quit and started their own carbon 60 business. That's why there's a couple of other companies in Colorado and one in Utah. They came out and visited me from Utah and basically started, making a carbon 60 product, but still, again, using the commercial grade, the industrial grade that's produced with solvents.
Yeah, I
They
think
still, go ahead.
it helps the mitochondria to make more ATP.
I don't know if it helps it make more ATP, but it eliminates the waste product, which would be free radicals. When they're generating the ATP, it would eliminate the free radicals, because that's where most of your free radicals are generated, in your mitochondria, when it converts food to ATP.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All righty. Anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah, on Google it says yes, C60 helps. Yes, C60 is believed to help support and improve cellular energy. While it does not directly create ATP on its own, it plays a supportive role in enhancing how efficiently your mitochondria produce adenosine triphosphate. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean,
Yeah, that's consistent with what I said. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it will eliminate the free radicals generated by the ATP.
Okay. Anybody else having any comments or questions? Great as always, Bob. Thank you so much.
Thank you, William. Yeah, and if anybody has any comments or questions, or give a call. We basically answer phones from 9 to 9 in Denver time. Although I started getting a bunch of calls at 6:30 recently, 30 calls between 6:30 and 9 o'clock I answered. So, because it rings at my office and my cell phone at the same time, I got it tricked out. So when they call the office, I pick it up, and we're getting a lot of East Coasters calling in.
Yeah, they don't know that, we're
No, they don't have a concept of time zone.
Neither my grandkids, though. They can't figure out how when I call them at 1 o'clock here, and I said, we're having lunch. He goes, it's dinner time. They can't quite figure that out. So
Yeah.
okay. All right. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll be here again next week, same time, same station. I have Dr. Anthony James. He's going to be speaking about what he speaks about. So, he does what AI and bias and stuff like that. So we're going to be hearing from Dr. James next week, and I'll keep you posted on whether we make any progress with IFM. Fingers crossed. And if anybody has any conferences coming up, anything being published or all, please let us know so we can spread the word.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, there is a conference, a very good conference in cancer. It's integrative cancer treatment. And I mean, it can be watched online. I think it's about less than $200 for 3 days, and the workshop can be watched on remotely.
You
It's
have a contact for that, or
yeah, I had it. It's
who's running it?
what no, it's something that I never. I think I heard before with B. It starts with B. But it's not like a name that. I don't know. I have it in my cell phone, but I don't have the cell phone now. But it's in San Diego. It's Integrative Cancer Conference. It's very good.
When is it?
This weekend.
This weekend. Okay.
So anyone can watch remotely if they want. Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
Yeah, yes, this one. Yes, exactly.
Eljansky Conference.
Beljansky Conference. Is somebody going there? Oh, Dr. Someone's.
Okay. Okay. We'll check out the Beljansky Conference.
Beljansky Conference, yeah.
Okay. Thank you all. We'll see you again next week. I'm a little bit behind on getting the videos posted, but I'll get to them. And
Oh, Dr. Bill, we have a conference here in Lake Tahoe too, in 26 to 28 June in the Hyatt. It's the Modern Medicine Functional Health and Wellness Symposium. So that's in the Hyatt
Oh, where is that? Where is that? In
Lake Tahoe, Hyatt
oh,
Regency.
oh, nice.
yeah, and who's running this?
I think this is, what is this company? It's not our usual company. It's not A4M, it's not AMMG, it's not the big ones.
Are you speaking?
Yeah, you. You're asking who's running this.
I'm running it?
No, 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 no. I don't know. It's not a company that we're dealing with, that we're affiliated with. So the topics are PRP, exosomes, GLP-1s, and they also have, remember you have the ExoMind?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they have the ExoMind in there, and Amcella.
So it's BTL's running it?
Oh, that's right. You're right. I think it is. I think it is BTL.
Okay.
Yeah, you know them, right?
I know them all right.
Okay, so let's not get there, but it's them. So
Yeah, unfortunately, I know them.
okay, all right. Hey, our research group. You need to tap our research group before we head off.
What's the name of this conference? It's where is it? It's at North Lake?
Hyatt Regency.
Yeah,
Wherever that is.
it's North Lake.
Okay.
All right, we'll check it out. Okay, thank you all.
Hey, call our research group. Maybe they have something.
All who?
Research group.
Is anybody here? I didn't see Dr. Quinn. Or Dr. Tano's usually around, right?
Yeah, I'm here, but yeah, we didn't meet this weekend, so next weekend probably we'll pick up again.
I'm gonna have to having you with Dr. Nario. We're gonna have to get you, Dr. Tano, to give us a tip of the week on how to use that AI program of yours.
Yeah, that would be good. So, I mean, the AI program is open for people who want to experience it and see what it gives. I think it's really awesome. I would say. I mean, not because I did it, but if You
Good.
want to research any topic, anything you want to do with it, it gives you a really good report.
Like I
If
said,
you do the AI search and put any condition in that AI search,
mhm.
it gives you 10K words, it gives you 30K words and 50K words with a lot of elaborate information.
Like I said, I just put in what is Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and it gave me 307 pages in
Yeah,
not even 10 minutes. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, real fast, we will have probably an update on the apothecary,
Okay.
starting that in about a week or two.
Let Dr. James know I'll be bugging him this week because he's on next week for us.
Okay, we'll let him know on Saturday. We'll remind him.
I'll get
Yeah.
before that, but let him know ahead of time. Okay, everybody, thank you all so much, and we will see you again next time, same week, same station. Bob, thanks so much for being with us, and
Thank you. Thank you.
talk great products. We're happy to have you with us. Okay.
He's glad to be here.
All right. Good night. Thank you all.
Good night.
Bye.